listening to On the Couch with Carly. Carly's couch is a safe space to talk. I'm a psychologist, but I'm not your pipe-smoking, tweed-wearing stereotype. Welcome back to On the Couch with Carly. Today, I have a very special guest. Today, on the couch, we have Dillion, which is a hard word to read because you think, are you seeing one L, two L's, an I? Is there an I? Is there three L's maybe?
Yeah.
So Dillion Phiri, whose bio is kind of unbelievable, and I wish I could read the entire thing exactly as he's written it, but I'm going to put it in the show notes. So whoever's listening or watching to this, you can go and read up on this incredible man. It's a mouthful. High achiever. So Dillion Phiri is a Zimbabwean-Malawian father. I like that you put father first. Entrepreneur, strategist, filmmaker, and social sculptor based in Johannesburg. As founder of Creative Nestlings, he's built a pan-African network of 100,000 plus creatives over 14 years. His work spans documentary filmmaking, award-winning photography, and ecosystem building. And there is more, but I'm going to cut us off because we don't have too much time to record this today. So Dillion, you're here today because you actually, I think you approached me on Instagram or someone recommended you to me. And really what we want to talk about today is how fatherhood inspires and also, I guess, curates and helps you to focus your work and your energy. So yeah, tell me about that. Tell me about your intent for this conversation.
No, I guess for me, fatherhood is a blessing. I think it's the greatest gift I've ever been given by God. And it's really the foundation of my approach to life nowadays, ever since I became a father. To be like everything I do is centered around me being a good parent and a good friend to my kids and a good provider to my kids. So I can live my dreams, but then me being an example is an example for them so they can live their dreams and also so they can have a legacy to inherit and tools and resources and knowledge and experiences to inherit. So I really center my kids around everything I do because I think once you do that, it becomes a bit easier to be a parent because then it's not I'm a father too. No, it's the beginning. Yeah. And then my work is informed by them and it informs their lives too. So it's a balance of both worlds.
And how long have you been a father for?
My son is 13. So it's been 13 years, born in Cape Town. I was very young. I was like 22, 23 when he was born, changed my entire life. Made me quit my first good job because if I do that job, then I'm not living my dreams. Then I'm not a good example for him. Might as well give it a shot. Yeah.
And what was surprising for you about becoming a father? How did you think about it before it actually happened to you? And what changed in reality? Yeah, doing it for real.
Yeah, I think before I was even a father, I didn't have the greatest dad. I barely knew him. So I kind of had this chip on my shoulder to say, no matter what happens, I always have to be a good dad to my kids. So I think having my son and then my daughter and then inheriting 3 other kids, so I have 5 kids in total, really has shifted it's actually made my life a bit more happier, I would say, because I'm a very calm, very to myself kind of person, but having kids really changes you because now you have to enjoy the things that are happening around you so you can explain them better, right? Because no matter what I do, I'm not cool anyway to them. So might as well enjoy as much as possible. So I think having my son really changed my perspective on life because the simple things that I took for granted, he saw as the world. He saw as the first experiences for him. So it kind of taught me how don't take things for granted. Don't take time for granted. Don't take joy for granted. Family, just experiences, don't take them for granted because being a dad, you are showing him how to react and how to experience the life and then also my other 4 kids. So that's been an interesting journey.
Sure. And it sounds like you are a creative powerhouse. And it sounds like the way you're describing parenting is also, it's a creative endeavor, right? You got to come up with stuff. You got to make sense of stuff. So tell me about that.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because I make them draw every day. All 5 of them. We have what they call drawing challenges. I can't draw. My partner can, and my ex-wife could draw. So my revenge to them is, since I can't draw, you draw every day. But then they draw every day because it's a discipline thing, right? You have to learn to do the hard things, the things you don't enjoy, but also the things that you have a skill to, right? As an enabler, as a catalyst for a bigger life for yourself. So I said to them, since you guys know how to draw because clearly your mothers gave you guys that gift, might as well be good at it. So be the best illustrator as you can. You can do everything else, but as long as you can become the best illustrator as you can, at least you have one skill that you can go into the world with when you're grown up. So teaching them discipline through creativity, through understanding that creativity is a skill that can be nurtured like a muscle, right? That you can enhance and monetize and build joy, build worlds with, has been quite interesting because they see me do my stuff and see my partner and doing her stuff. It's a great way to kind of teach balance parenting, because we can invent as we want to. And I'm trying to show them that they're capable of anything, but then within reason, of course, but they can explore the world as they want it to be and add to it and be of value to it. So it's an interesting balancing world of balancing being a creative and being a parent. And yeah, yeah, but nothing I do is cool enough anyway. So yeah, according to them.
Parenting is humbling
Yes,
in that
100%.
way, isn't it?
100%. Yeah. Yeah.
Goodness. And do you feel a tension between maybe how do I say this? The sort of joyful parts of creativity where it's just creativity for creativity's sake, and the need to sort of be economically viable, to make, to progress, to kind of build and, sustain yourself. And is that something that you work with quite a bit?
Yeah, no, I mean, personally, definitely. There's a big tension between, because I'm a filmmaker, but I like making films for fun, not for money. I don't like briefs. I'm not the best person with briefs in general, but you need them, right? You need that ability to be able to make money and living out of what you're doing. So I try and balance between creativity and entrepreneurship and scalability and sustainability. Try and teach that also to my kids.
Yeah.
Say, like, I always show them examples of, like, I'm doing like a billboard now where I commissioned the illustrator to make a billboard. So I showed them the quote from her and the final amount and the final work, right? So they can also understand, oh, so if I can draw, this is what I'm capable of doing, and this is what I'm capable of being able to make. It shows them already early on that there is joy, passion, but also money to be made, and sustainability. And what does that look like? My partner is a painter, so the painting behind me is my partner who's working on it now. So them seeing her also work and then trying to sell it and all that kind of stuff and trying to make a life out of it and letting go and not letting go, I think is an important balance. But also, luckily enough, I have the privilege of, through Creative Nestlings, I'm able to work around the continent, around the world with different creatives and see how they're doing and take those lessons back to my kids and show them examples. Launched an app now, a web app for the creative industry. Now I was showing to them, like, oh, I just made an app. And it took me a year, and they were with me every day seeing what I'm doing, but they didn't see the result up until only now. They're like, oh, so that's what you were building. So showing them that process in Jen also is an important thing to show them that you have to invest in skills in yourself and constantly iterate to get somewhere. And then one day it'll be worth something. One day. It's not going to be immediate instant gratification, like a post or anything like that. But it's a journey, and they see me tinker also with little things. Like I made these cards for creatives that I'm going to launch next year. So like these little card prompts for the creative industries. And I took them through the process of designing them and coming up with questions and using them also as guinea pigs to say, talk to each other, take one card and talk to each other and see what you can come up with. Yeah. So it's a balancing both the worlds. It can be fun, it can be sustainable, but also can generate income out of it. And that's very important. It's a career also. It's a job like any other. I try and teach them that. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you think that is particular to being a dad, that you are also having to mentor or like sort of lead by example, specifically economically, more than moms? Like I don't know, this question of, I've been kind of questioning this thing of like, moms get called working moms.
Yeah.
But dads don't get called working dads. It's just it's just assumed that dads work and that like that's almost their most important role, is to like work and provide. So I'm just wondering, like, how has your journey been with that whole thing of being the provider, like yeah, being a dad? Like, does it impact you? That's that sort of question.
No, 100%. I think I always wanted to be a house dad, like a house dad. I wanted to be able to do to make films at home whilst raising my kids, but I haven't been able to because I have to work and all that kind of stuff. So, luckily enough, I work at home still anyway. But being the provider,
Yeah.
unfortunately, I haven't been able to escape that because my partner is an artist, and that's a long journey to for her to find sustainability. She paints murals, she paints and all that kind of stuff. And I've been saying to her, I really want to be at home with my kids all the time and write films and all that kind of stuff. But definitely, because I'm the provider, I have to be a good example, right? That you can be a provider and be present at the same time. And I'm privileged enough that my career allows both. Like now, I haven't seen my kids in 3 weeks now because they're in Nelspruit. I'm in Johannesburg for this year because they're homeschooling. So I'm in Joburg because I'm here for work, but I was supposed to only here for 1 week, but now I'm here about 3 weeks now. It's been an interesting tension to say, oh, I miss them, but they couldn't care right now. They care, but it's not necessarily like we miss our dad now. They seem to be doing fine. And I think just showing an example that I can be as present as possible by the choices I'm making. So the choices I am making are leading me to be as present as possible. And yes, there's some privileges, there's some opportunities and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it's not it's not always going to be easy. But I try to be a good example for both the boys and the girls. Hey, you have to take care of yourself. You have to know how to cook for yourself, clean for yourself, make money for yourself. And then if you're lucky enough to have a partner that can support you in that journey, great. But you have to be sustainable to be happy for yourself, basically. I think that's very important. But it's a hard tension. It's definitely it's a hard tension because I can't say to them, oh, because your boys didn't be providers, but society expects them to be providers. Right. So it's like I always say to them, there has to be a balance on both worlds and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think that's what I'm working on creating, I suppose, new narratives
Yeah.
on. Like you kind of, you're in good company. You're kind of in a series of Black fathers that I've had on my podcast, and all of them are creatives, interestingly
Yeah.
enough. All of the guys that I've had on the podcast, mostly I guess they're my friends as well. But you're all kind of breaking the mold a little bit because you're saying it's not enough just to be a provider. That's not the only role that a dad plays. A dad is there to shape this person, to be there to care for this person. So tell me about that. Like if you had to kind of go a bit more like granular and you kind of really come down to the really nitty gritty of it, what is the work of fatherhood? What is, if you had to try and really piece it apart, what do you think you're doing differently to maybe the standard of what male fathers were, doing for the last few generations?
Yeah.
Like what is it actually is involving being a father these days?
Yeah. The granular work, I think, is number one, finding yourself. So helping my kids find themselves, find out who they are, what their interests are, what they're good at, because I'm always saying to them, like, you gotta find there's two things. There's things you're passionate about that you enjoy, but then there's things you're good at, just because somehow God gave you those skills. So finding themselves, I think, is very important. Finding their breaking points, emotional regulation, especially for the boys, trying to get them to understand that just because you're a guy doesn't mean everything is a fight. Also for the girls, just because you're a girl doesn't mean that you shouldn't fight, right? And that the balance is very important. And discipline. I think for me, because I didn't grow up with a dad, I grew up with a mom. My mom tried to teach me as much discipline as possible. I had to learn discipline from other people, other male figures around me. So I'm trying to steal that discipline. That discipline is important. Like today, they're homeschooling, so I'd say to them they're done for the year, but I was like, you know what? Actually, no. That's gonna then just make them feel like a cocoon. I must just linger. I said, do 1 hour a day. For 1 hour a day, you watch basketball highlights. I know they don't like basketball. I love basketball, but I know they don't like it. But by watching it, you're teaching yourself to see life through my eyes, but then also spending time doing something just for a short time uncomfortable because they have 23 hours a day. Do a quick drawing challenge. So it's not school or learning, but just 1 hour of instilling some idea of discipline and just doing something that one of them will find joy in, but others might not. Even, for example, they run every day for 30 minutes. They run around the apartment complex, even if I'm not there. But just to instill that pattern making, understanding that there are things you have to do. I think that's fatherhood. The hard things are important too. Do the hard things no matter what. The joyful things could come. I try also to be the joyful person. I try to be the fun dad, but it's a balancing of all worlds basically. And I think now it's time to pick up because I have 13-year-olds. That's a tense household already because now they're pushing back. But I'm always saying to them, just because you can push back doesn't mean that there's a moment. Pick the right moments to know when to push, right? Pick the right moments, know when to cry about something, to be angry about something. But that anger must not always lead to violence. Anger must just be talked about. I'm angry right now because of A, B, and C. That conversational. Because I don't believe in beating kids, but I believe in a conversation and dialogue. It can be tense, and also I'm wrong sometimes, right? And I have to apologize. I have to be accountable to them, and they will hold me accountable. So that's fatherhood. And fatherhood is a very, I call them 4 times a day. They don't like that. But I'm like, you're my world. So if I don't check how you're doing, then I feel there's an emptiness to it. They don't understand it, but I'm like, one day you're going to realize that it was important. And I'll say to them, look now, I lost my best friend. He just had a kid. He had 2 kids already and just had a kid, and then he passed away last year. And I said to him, damn, but you see that time is not forever. It's finite. And he was the fun guy to his kids. And he had kids after me. And I said to him, be my friend, you have to be a dad. You have to be a good dad. I'm going to hold you accountable. That's the only way you can be my friend. Right. And he did hold on to that. And then now I'm also the father to his kids because of that. But I'll say to my kids, but you see, you never know. I don't want to say anything bad, but I just want to say that you never know. So allow me to make the calls. Allow me to be that annoying dad and all that kind of stuff. Because one day I might not be around, and what are you going to tell your grandchildren? You're gonna, oh, I want you to remember me by being that annoying dad that was always there, no matter where he was in the world. Because my work makes me travel, but it's a balancing thing, and that's the granular side of being a father. Like I make them cook every day with me when I'm around because I want them to know how to make an egg, how to enjoy food, how to enjoy the little things, how to experiment, how to break things, and how to learn and how to learn Japanese every day because it's a hard language to learn. And it's very important for me to be able to do that. And that's very, very important for them to do. So yeah.
So, I mean, you said a huge amount there, but one thing that I'm really super curious about, obviously being a psychologist, is this idea of emotional regulation.
Yeah.
So you spoke about how you didn't have a dad who was very present. So, I mean, what was your understanding of emotional regulation? You were also a young dad. Did you have to learn this concept while you were a father, or did you already know it? Like, how did that journey go for you to kind of become someone who understands emotional regulation, or even how to teach that for someone else?
Yeah. I learned by doing. So I think I had to learn it myself. I had to learn it from people around me to see how do I how do I keep because I'm a peaceful person. So, but I'm quick to anger because I think for a long time I just didn't know how to regulate. So I went to therapy for a bit, and life coaches and all that kind of stuff. I started seeing another life coach recently. But because I realized if you can, the world's gonna be bad anyway. The world's gonna hit you on like a moving train from all sides 24/7. You gotta have some things you can control in your life and things that bring you joy in the middle. So I drink coffee every day because at the same coffee shop because that's one thing I'm in control. I wear black every day, so I have those wins that I chose to. And then the emotional is a learning journey, but then by learning that my triggers should not necessarily mean that I must react. They're just triggers. I must find the ways through them. I'm gonna experience them, but then I must find ways through them. I must find ways to deal with them. So by doing that, I'm teaching them, my kids also early on, say, just because you're angry doesn't mean the world's ending. Right? Just because just because you didn't get a Stanley doesn't mean that now you're the poorest child in school. Does not mean that. It just means, well, right now you're not going to have it. Maybe later on, maybe you won't. So I think it's just a balancing of just, I'm learning it as I go, but I realize how important it is when you're in boardrooms, when you are negotiating deals, when you launch a project and it flops, when you fail. It's all just about emotional regulation and dealing with things as they come. I think that's very, very important. My father at the end did try talking to me about things, but it was just too late. Before he passed away, it was just too late. But I think that trigger of him regretting not being in my life and my brother's life made me realize, oh, so he did care, just didn't know how to show it. I just don't know how. No, and there's no one to help him find us inside him. So it's very important that I do that for myself and for my kids. But it's a learning journey, and
Mm.
you have to build community of people that can help you with that also, to be a good dad and to be, and what it looks like to be a good dad. You have to be a good person yourself, for yourself, right? And that's very important.
Mm.
Because kids are very good at revealing the real you. They can show you that this is just nonsense right now. You are performing this parenting. They can tell you that, they can show you that. So it's very important that you find balance and you know yourself. And by knowing yourself, you know them better. But it's a learning curve. Yeah. I hope that answers that.
Yeah, no, it's so fascinating. And I thought it was really interesting what you said about, owning up to your mistakes and apologizing. And, I'm just like picking on these few things because I think, it feels like, you just mentioned it, but it's sort of absolutely revolutionary. Like if we look at all parents, but obviously fathers more than mothers, from a few generations ago, there was just nothing of this. There was no talk of parenting being about emotional regulation. There was no talk of how we have to take care of our own feelings first before we even attend to our children. There was no talk of knowing one's triggers or being aware of when we actually are wrong and owning up to that to our children and that being such an important part of repair that really actually builds the relationship between you and your child, that you don't have to be perfect. You don't have to be this like perfect authority figure that, sort of hold this role. It's about being genuine and authentic and making mistakes and being human and figuring it, like we're all figuring it out. And I think when we actually show up for our children like that, it really allows the relationship to be built that is much more solid. And it's a kind of respect. I think the previous generations required respect without question. It was like, you just respected you showed them respect. You didn't know why they deserved respect other than the fact that they scared the shit out of you. But that's why they got respect. And I think our generation of parents are really trying to earn respect from their children by being genuine, by being authentic, by showing up, by admitting when they go wrong. And I think that that's massive. It's like no small thing to be doing that, to show up in that way.
Yeah. No, it's definitely no small feat. I spent the last year with my mom and my kids with my mom. I can see the difference between how she parents and how I parent. And there's a bit of tension there all the time, but I think slowly but surely, she's starting to see what I'm trying to do and what I'm trying to cultivate in the environment I'm trying to do. But I think, like I said, I had to make her apologize for one of the kids yesterday because she said, shut up to one of them whilst we were talking and all that kind of stuff. And I think that was an interesting learning curve for all of us, me, my mom, the kid. And it's just interesting to see that tension between generations and how to better regulate our emotions, how we talk to each other, how accountability and all that kind of stuff. I think that's one of the most important things about parenthood, is that it's constantly evolving and changing. Different generations have different needs. Yes, we had those needs also growing up, but I think we can now show what we are looking for in the world and be good examples of that. And like I said, we're not perfect people. I never emphasize perfection. I just emphasize showing up and owning up to whatever's happening in the moment and being present. And I think that's the most important thing, no matter what happens. And also some level of transparency is very important also between parents and children, because I think sometimes parents don't explain situations to kids. So now kids act up because they don't understand, because you as a parent didn't do your job of sitting down with the child, having a conversation. Especially if they grow older, they can see everything. Your job is just to try and explain everything as much as possible, but also understand that they're kids also at the same time. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And, I think for me on this podcast to have representation where you are seeing dads talk about these things, shifting shifting the generational patterns,
Yeah.
showing, like just being visible, showing up in the world as dads who think like this, who talk like this, who want these things for their children, and who are like, being conscious about it, being aware and making a concerted effort around these things. For me, it's about the fact that we are creating, these new ways of being. And they exist, but the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, and have it represented, the easier it is for other people to adopt those ways. The easier it is for, young kids now to be looking up and saying, like, I want to be a cool dad like that. I want parenthood, or I want fatherhood to be a significant element of masculinity, right? Like, this is not separate from masculinity. This is not something that, like, is not masculine. It can be masculine to be an artist, to be a creative, to be an entrepreneur, to be a father. All of that in one person can exist.
Yeah.
And I think that that's such an exciting thing to demonstrate in reality.
Yeah. No, I think it's definitely very important. And also, I mean, because I have a blended family, so I've had to make some choices that maybe my two kids didn't understand at the time, because I have two kids with my ex-wife, and then my partner has two kids. So initially it was me and my two kids. After I got divorced, I would co-parent by traveling between Cape Town and Johannesburg with my kids. And then my partner came into my picture. She brought in two kids. So now I had to combine those into four. And then I fought for them to be, in one household with me, because I just wanted to be a good dad because I didn't want to feel like I'm parenting my kids more than my own kids. So I negotiated with my partner, my ex-wife, to be able to bring my kids with me. And then I had to adopt my niece also. Luckily, she was 18 and with age, so she could fit in quite easily. So now I was trying to explain to my two kids all the time that I'm not trying to lessen the pie for you of whatever I have, or time or energy. I'm bringing a richness to your life that is just beyond, right? That now you have, not just the two of you, you now have three other people that are your siblings, right? I'm taking them as my own. You must also see them as your own siblings and stuff, no matter what happens. And that's what fatherhood is also showing them that tough decisions need to be made. No, even if they're heavy on you, on the pocket, heavy on mentally, heavy on everything. But you have to make tough decisions too, because that's part of being a parent. That's part of being a grown up. That's part of being a father. And also you have to be in a good relationship with your partner also, to show them try and show them a good example of partnership. It's not going to be perfect, but try and show them how to show up in the world. All those different examples, I think, is showing them iterations of it as you go. Hopefully that will lead them to be better people too, because we need more better human beings in this world. So why not give it a fair shot? Yeah.
Yeah. And do you see this being like just a quality that you hold as a person? Because it sounds like your work. I mean, I looked at your website and I read up a bit about you, and I obviously, read your bio. It feels like, in a way, your work is kind of like fathering. It's like you're a nurturer. You're a community maker. You're a person that sort of holds that space of, like, holding people together in your arms, so to speak, whether it's like your creative arms or your parenting arms. Would you say that that's typical of your kind of character?
Yeah. Yes, I'm surprised by it too, because I'm such a loner. But it seems to be my number one trait is I know how to connect the dots. I think that's the idea of being a social sculptor, that you build a world for other people to build in, for them to thrive in. That's why I like to call myself social sculptor, because I think it's one thing that comes naturally to me, to be able to connect those dots. And I think I do that at home, my kids, but also in general society, because I always believe that everything can be shared and everything can be, I like to live the world better than what it was. So I'm trying to do my best as much as possible to live it as best as possible. But also, it's a selfish move also. It's just in case something happens to me, my kids have a community to inherit that they can leverage and all that kind of stuff. That way they don't feel alone globally. I think it's just that thing of trying to ensure that they have that community, global community of aunties and uncles that they can inherit as part of that process. And hopefully that can always be present. But I think society needs more community now more than ever. So why not be at the cusp of that and building that? That's what I do. But I think that my mom's trait also. I think my mom is like that. She's very much a community. I heard that from her. Yeah, a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. We're going to have to wrap up soon, but I just want to ask you a question. So do you see dads struggling, dads failing to show up in the way that you show up, or the way you would like other dads to show up? And if you do, what is your advice to other fathers? What would be some words that you would offer to dads right now who maybe think that it's enough to maybe just be a provider, or who don't even provide, but just aren't really able to show up in the lives of their children or to support their partners. Give us some of your wisdom. What would you tell the dads out there?
Yeah. I think, I don't know if it's advice. I'd say it's easier than you think to show up, right? And showing up is not just providing money it's just being available, for a phone call, for time, for just different energy. And, oh, sorry, someone's making noise in the background, but it's fine. And I think it's just being present, and it's easier than you think it is. Just give it a shot. Right. It's not gonna be hard. Yeah. I'm with a blended family too. So I have my three other kids. They have their own, like fathers and parents and all that kind of stuff. So it's a bit of a battle to get them to show up and just be present. So I always say that just show up. It's not about money. It's not about providing. Just call your kid every day. Ask them what's happening with them. Tell them about your life, how you are living, what you're trying to achieve, what you're trying to do. They value that a lot. And it's not, just give it a shot. Just give it a fair shot. You created this life. So own up to it and get you there. I don't know if it's good advice. I don't know. I never know what to say, because it's like, for me, it's like, why not show up? Because you've created this life and it's beautiful, and you get to show someone the world and help them navigate it. So I think that's the most amazing thing. But I understand mental health, resources, tools, and all that stuff, but it's not enough excuses for me. Yeah.
Yeah. But why do you think they don't? Do you think, a lot of people maybe don't have the examples of fathers in their life, but also maybe they feel, do you think they maybe feel in some way, I don't know, you said it's not that hard. Do you think that they feel sort of unskilled or under, like, I don't know, that they don't have what it takes, that they feel insecure, that they feel they're gonna fail, or they're gonna mess it up somehow, and they don't want to try because it might be, they might get egg on their face or something. What do you think holds people back from just trying?
I always wonder that, like, because even if you fail, it's part of the process, right? It's a learning journey. But I think also, like you mentioned, it reveals a lot about you when you are now parenting a child, right? It opens up a lot of doors and that you actually don't want to explore. Kids ask the dumbest questions. They ask the hard questions so simply. And they can spot a lie a mile away. They can spot pain and all that kind of stuff. So I think sometimes maybe that fear of being that vulnerable, because it requires vulnerability to be a parent. To be a dad requires vulnerability. That's number one. Nothing else matters. You have to be open, because, as much as authoritative figure, you're not authoritative figure. You're not the police, right? You are everything. You are the country, you're the land, you're everything. So it requires a lot of openness. So I think they're afraid of that, maybe. Even if you don't have examples. Some of us don't have examples, but we show up regardless. We want to be the example. So also it's a choice. Like I always say to my kids, everything is a choice, no matter how good or bad. The choices led you to there. Take accountability, but don't make it an idol, right? Ask God for wisdom, ask God for guidance and all that kind of stuff, and then build yourself from there, but own up to it. And I think they just don't want to own up to it, and that's sad. But I think the greatest gift you could ever do is to honor someone else and say, I will be your father for the rest of your life. I think it's a privilege and an honor to be able to do that.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah. Thank you. That was such a beautiful answer. Really appreciate that.
No, thank you.
Dillion, I'm so grateful for your time. Thank you for coming on and talking to me today and inspiring us all. And keep on with the amazing work that you're doing. It looks so cool. And cards for creativity, are they available to purchase? Like, can people buy that on your website?
Not yet. They can check out my app.
Coming.
Yeah, they can check out my Crico app.
Okay.
I'll send you the link. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Send me the link and I'll put it on the show notes.
All right.
Thank you so much, and take care and have a good festive season and everything else that's happening at the moment.
You too. Thank you so much. I love talking about fatherhood. So thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. It's been such a pleasure having you.
All right.
Thank you.
Yes.
Cheers. Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to On the Couch with Carly. If something in this episode resonated with you or made you feel less alone, that means the world to me. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and now in video format on YouTube. For exclusive content and resources, visit our website at onthecouchwithcarly.com. If you enjoyed today's conversation, please consider leaving a rating or review. It really does help others discover our safe space for authentic conversation. Until next time, please take good care of yourself. I can't wait to be back on the couch with you again.